The call, he has approximately 7 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Colin King.
The Animal Welfare Amendment Bill is a very appropriate bill to be considering because as a nation, Mr. Speaker, we have a huge number of animals. In actual fact, it was sometime as a bit of a joke that we were known worldwide that we had far more animals than we do humans. But however, we're quite pleased about that because as a nation we have a primary sector economy and that primary sector economy contributes to a first-class economy. So this bill is indeed timely. Sadly, we have from time to time outrageous behaviour that doesn't do anything for our image, and we need then to have a process in place, a structured process of penalties for people who mistreat animals. And this is what the bill refers to, Animal Welfare Amendment Bill. It brings in a new regime of treatment or punishment for people who commit crimes of cruelty against animals. It's worth noting, Mr. Speaker, that previously, there was the ultimate crime against an animal was willful ill treatment, but there were very, very few occasions when there was a verdict of guilt in this case, and it was largely because to show that willfulness was very difficult. So what we find, the bill introduces another category, one of reckless ill treatment, and I think that is very sensible, Mr. Speaker, because really reckless behaviour is something that can be quite predictable, that a normal person will understand. The bill in itself has two parts to it, effectively. You've got the regime that sorts out the reckless behaviour of ill treatment, and then there's the aspect that disqualifies a person who is judged to have committed a crime, a cruelty against an animal, how long they are disqualified from actually owning an animal. It also talks about the contravention of a court order preventing somebody having an animal. So really, I'd say that this bill is going to attract a significant number of submissions. It will attract those, and we welcome them. The Primary Production Select Committee, I believe, is ideally situated to be able to consider those submissions. We certainly welcome them, but we would really encourage those people that do submit to submit within the context of the bill. And I say that because we have quite a structured process within New Zealand of managing best practice. We've got the common sense behaviour of looking after pets in cities that is looked after by the Royal New Zealand SPCA, or the Society of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And then we have the NAWAC, or the National Animal Welfare Advisory Committee, that rules and it judges on what is considered best practice around domesticated animals, be they sheep, cattle, chooks, whatever, pigs and so on. So when those submissions come in and we need to consider them, Mr. Speaker, they will need to be in the context and the scope of the bill. So on its first reading, the Minister stood up and said that he would like to see that this reported back to the House in a timely fashion. That will be the 20th of April. And when you consider that once we finish this session tonight or tomorrow or whenever it is, we're still in urgency, in actual fact there is 2 weeks recess. So on that basis, we'll have to be pretty quick in getting those submissions out, because there will be, I'm sure, a large public interest in this particular bill. The regime of fines has been doubled effectively, and it might be a fair point that one could make, that doubling a fine doesn't actually address or remedy the situation. However, I think myself, Mr. Speaker, that it does clearly sort of lay out to the community and society as a whole the value that we put on those loyal, faithful pets that we have, or those animals that we extract a living from. So effectively the penalty regimes range from $125,000 for a body corporate up to $250,000. Sounds a lot of money. But the point that is of interest to me is that if it's an individual, you can actually get a court sentence. But if you're a corporate body, you don't. You just get a larger fine. But there's nobody actually comes up for trial for being. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Up for trial for the cruel effect. So there will be a lot of interest, as I said, Mr. Speaker, in this bill. I trust that those that are submitting on it do so in the context of the bill, because what we're looking at here is a regime, a structure of penalties for cruelty, and on that basis alone, I'd imagine that we will not be trying to get into a field where we're going to say, well, we should be able to do something or we should not. It would be around the very aspects of a workable solution, because judges have been criticised for not implementing the law. Well, I'd have to say that until this bill came along, it was virtually impossible for them to do so, because it was so difficult to prove the willful aspect of ill treatment. So the introduction of a reckless ill treatment category will greatly aid the whole process, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more convictions around those people who should be treated as criminals. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.